Hey, how you guys doing? So I'm a Mobile Kugo, a frugal athlete. So we're gonna break down how PJ Washington spent his first million in the NBA. Called his Frugal Reviews. So yeah, we're gonna break it down and then kind of go through it and go from there. So here we go.
Everybody, this is PJ Washington. I'm at home in quarantine practicing social distancing, and I hope you guys are doing the same. This is how I spent and saved my first $1 million. Before we get started, I just wanted to give a big shout out to all the healthcare workers. We really appreciate what you guys are doing for everybody in the communities. It's a hard time for our country financially, but I just wanted to take the time and share with you guys how hard work has gotten me where I am today. I first started playing basketball when I was like 5 years old. I can remember shooting on little tight rims and then going to the YMCA and playing in the leagues where you had to wear the same wristband as the person you were guarding. In like fourth grade, I had a feeling that I was better than everybody else because we were at this AAU tournament and I had like 40 points. At that moment, I was just like, if I take this serious, I feel like I can get somewhere with this. I have allowance from my dad. If I had a triple double.
So real quick, I think it's important to understand like yes, PJ Washington's an NBA basketball player, millionaire, all these wonderful things. He knew or he had an inclination that he was going to go pro at the fourth grade. And while everyone, whether you're good or not, you have dreams and aspirations of becoming a pro athlete, the chances of becoming a pro are still very hard. So, it's commendable to him to, make it to this level, but, it's important for, people to realize that it's still tough to become a professional athlete. Even though you may be good at that age, he still had to put in the work. He still had to, have some things go his way.
In the game, my dad would give me $100, so I would I would be in the game counting out all my stats every time I got something.
And how many triple doubles did you have in high school?
I think it was like 5. I decided to go to Kentucky because
So I just want to point that out because his dad gave him an allowance based on his performance, and I think that was good practice, for him as a professional. Because as professional athletes, we do get bonuses, based on our play, based on our performance. So I like that his was a triple double to like increase his skill set across the board and not just from a point standpoint. And it allowed him to understand when he ultimately went pro that it's going to be based on your performance moving forward. So some people might say that's like kind of harsh. You only get allowance, for how you play as a young kid. I never even got allowance, so I thought that was really cool.
because I felt like it was the best path for me to get to the NBA with John Calipari and what he does with his players. My biggest spendings as a college student was definitely shoes. Any Nikes that came out, I was trying to get them, and Jordans as well. Also video games, pretty much. I was a game head, still am, so those are my two biggest things I would buy. Being drafted.
So he just talked about how he strategically chose the University of Kentucky because it gave him the best chance to go pro. I think that's an important decision that young athletes have to make. You have to figure out the best school for your situations, whether that's a Power Five school, top D1 school, a mid-major, a school with the right coach, a school with the right system. It's very important that you make that decision that's going to help you not only on the field but off the field. And then he talks about why his spending habits at Kentucky. Obviously, the time of this video with PJ Washington was last summer, 2020, during the height of COVID. But now, a year later, which is when I'm doing this review, or the college system has changed. There's NIL. So, college athletes are now allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness. So it's going to be interesting to see what he said and see how the future college athletes, act based on, the fact that they can make money now. That's another factor to consider when it comes to, making your decision from a sports and school standpoint.
Was kind of hard to describe because in the green room, whoever's getting picked next, they put all the cameras in front of your face. So you kind of know when you're getting picked. When they said with the 12th pick, I was looking down and then I looked up and then all the cameras were in my face. So I kind of smiled a little bit. I couldn't say anything. So I was just excited to have my family there with me, my agent, and my coach, Calipari, as well.
I think you.
Yeah, quick story. So yeah, that is true. So when I got drafted back in 2010, it wasn't to this magnitude in the NBA, but MLS soccer. Um, the fifth pick had happened, and the camera started coming to me, and I thought I was getting drafted. I was nervous because my agent had texted me "Yo, this team is going to get you at a different pick. So I was like wondering, I was like, wait, is that not happening? But it ended up, they had a mistake and they picked one of my boys at the 5th pick, and then I ended up being the 6th pick.
Tyler were in the same draft, right?
Yeah. I think we were just really excited just to be in the green room together. For me to go 12 and him to go 13, I think that was really big for both of us. I mean, that night we just couldn't really think about anything else. My contract is 4 years, $17.8 million. Once I heard the number, it honestly didn't feel real. You don't get any money till like November, so you don't see any check or anything. I mean, at the time I didn't have any money, so it didn't feel like I had money.
So that's a key point. Obviously, congratulations to him. He's going to get $17 million over the course of 4 years. He's going to be able to set himself up, his family up, if he does it the right way. I think a lot of times he's talked about how he doesn't receive any money till November, till the start of the season. And, from when you get drafted to when the start of the season happens, that's when a lot of mistakes can happen because you're already spending money that you technically don't have. You only count money when it hits the bank account. So it's important to understand your financial situation, your financial portfolio before you get the money in hand.
It's extremely important to save your money, and it's really important to have somebody that helps you through the process. I found my financial advisor with my dad. Me and my dad would go around and interview a bunch of people. The plans we discussed with my financial advisor, 20% of everything goes into a spending account and 80% of everything goes into a savings account. Growing up, I've always wanted to.
So that's pretty good. I like that strategy, having like a spending portfolio versus a saving and investment portfolio. I think the biggest thing is to keep them separate. And I think it's important that I like that they had a process about going through a financial advisor. So it's important to understand like what questions you need to ask your financial advisor. Are they fiduciary? Get referrals, make sure, talk to their past clients, get testimonials from the source itself, not just from the financial advisor. I think it's really important to understand that they understand your situation and they're willing to be patient with you to explain different things across the board.
Open my own car dealership because my dad used to work at CarMax when I was really young. He used to come home with different cars pretty much every day. So that's one of my plans in the future. I definitely want to own a car dealership.
So that's interesting because we're like the rule of thumb beforehand, with athletes and money is like, don't do car dealerships and don't do restaurants. But he has a specific story around it. His dad used to work at CarMax. So I think if he were to do it the right way with his dad's help and obviously a team of advisors, it's still very lucrative. But that was always the rule of thumb, growing up when it came to like what athletes shouldn't do. It was dealerships and restaurants. But he has a personal story, I think, that will help him navigate that mantra.
Okay, we talked about how I saved my money, and this is how I spend my money. First thing I ever got was 2 apartments, one for me and then one for my family. Both apartments are in Charlotte, and actually they're like 10 doors apart from each other. I got apartments in the same building because we're a close family, so I felt it was easier for us to spend time together once they come to town.
So that's interesting. So he's spending money on 2 apartments versus just having one. And then when his family visits, they can stay in a hotel. I think the strategic reason around that is because his family probably visits quite a bit. So instead of getting a hotel every time and having to deal with, booking the hotel, booking the Airbnb, doing the different things, I would love to see the cost averages versus just like getting a spot versus a hotel versus, what he chose to do. And to be fair, he's making quite a bit of money.
My sister comes down from school, she'll stay with them. I have an extra room in here, so my little brother stays with me. I really want to buy a house, but I'm saving that purchase for the future. Just trying to think smart and save my money the best way as possible. 2 apartments, one for me and one for my family for the year, $60K. My next big purchase, my Porsche Panamera, because after my freshman year, 2 of my teammates had came back and they were driving them. So I was just like, yeah, this is the car I wanted. So once I got all my money,
living like the Joneses. So he didn't say he wanted a car for his own reasons. It was because his teammates came back and had them. So as an athlete, we're naturally competitive. We're naturally, want to fit in. So it's important to understand that with your spending habits, it's for you and you only. You don't have to compete with anybody. Just because you compete with them on the court, it doesn't mean you have to compete with them when it comes to spending money. Obviously, he has the means to do it, but a car is a depreciating asset. However, now that we've flipped the script when it comes to cars, there's different ways that you can make money off your car, and I'll probably get into it if you guys follow the channel, Frugal Athlete, like things like Turo, renting your car for music videos and different things like that when you're not using it. Definitely have to talk about the logistics around that, but for the most part, a car is a depreciating asset. But if you have the means to do it, go ahead and do it.
That's what I purchased. I bought the car out of Louisville, Kentucky. I went with my dad, obviously, because he was in the car business. And my dad does a good job of negotiating. So he definitely got the price down for me.
Verizon launched the first 5G network, and now
The interior is red.
So he spent $140,000 for a car. And like when we talk about cars, it's not just the car purchase; it's the insurance, it's the upgrades, it's the maintenance. A lot of things go into a car of that magnitude.
As well. Porsche upgrades 2300.
Did you always want a black car? Did you see that when you like stopped the one?
I mean, I just felt like it was simple. I mean, it doesn't really get too dirty, so that's why I wanted it. I have another car. Actually, I have two other cars. I have a Range Rover, and I also have a Tesla. I bought the Range Rover because the Porsche, I didn't feel like I'm a big guy, so the Range Rover just kind of fit better for me. And then I also got a Tesla because my brother needs a car, and pretty much I didn't want him driving all my stuff, so I just let him use that all the time. Range Rover, 130K. Tesla, 112K.
So he spent almost $500,000 on three cars. He bought the Porsche just because it looks cool and his buddies had it. He bought the Range Rover because it was size approved, and then he bought a car for his little brother. I approve, buying a car for your little brother, but it doesn't have to be of that magnitude. It doesn't have to be $100,000 car. Obviously, Teslas, are gas efficient and stuff like that, but I definitely think he could have done better in terms of, having spending almost 500,000 on just cars. Yeah, I would have definitely chose differently, but to each his own, I guess. Sorry, I jumped the gun. Almost 250,000. Oh no, I was right. Almost $500,000 on car. I included the two cars, the Tesla, the Range Rover, and then the Porsche. Ideally, if I was in a situation, I would have just bought the Range because he talks about using that as an efficient car, and then bought like a utility car that his brother could use. He doesn't have to be riding around in a Tesla, because that's maintenance. If you think about it, Porsche, Range, Tesla, the maintenance, the insurance, all that, it's added cost.
Before I got in the league, I was kind of into fashion, but now that I'm in the league, I'm a lot more into it than I was. I got a couple custom suits from, I think the company's called Elevate, and it's out of Los Angeles. The favorite thing I bought was probably my draft suit. It was dark blue and black, and it was like, it had really cool designs on it. It was dope. Top three fashion on the team, definitely Dwayne Bacon, Terry Rozier, and probably Miles Bridges. I'm a close fourth though. One of my teammates, Dwayne Bacon, has his own line. It's called Back Section. Everybody's really into it over here in Charlotte. My favorite shopping stores, Barney's, Saks Fifth, Neiman Marcus. Those are pretty much the three I use
Designer.
the most.
What was your favorite store before you were drafted?
Probably Foot Locker, House of Hoops.
So that's a great point. As you get more money, this is what happens. Income creep. You're able to buy things, that you probably didn't have the means to buy before. So your taste probably increases and different things like that. So it's important, while it is nice to, buy some high quality clothes and take care of yourself, to avoid the concept of income creep. That's a problem that a lot of athletes face. As their income increases, their expenses increase as well. And you want that gap, if you really want to build true wealth, to make sure that gap stays large.
Clothing, I spent about $80K.
he spends more on clothes than he does on rent. So let's keep that in mind.
I've always wanted jewelry, but I just never wanted like too much. I just wanted a couple of chains and maybe one or two watches. I don't have any watches, but I have a chain and some earrings.
And where did you buy your chain and earrings?
Jason Beverly Hills. First, I got a pendant. It's kind of an emoji, but it says my name. That was like $15,000. And then once I got the pendant, I wanted a Cuban. It's a Chinese emoji. It means acceptable, but it says PJ right there. I just use it all the time on my Instagram, and then I just got a chain for it. After that, I just got some earrings to go with it.
Are those the ones you have on right now?
Yeah. Altogether, it was about $45,000.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of jewelry, but like I said before, insurance, when it comes to jewelry is expensive. So 45,000, but if it's just a chain and some earrings, he didn't go overboard. He mentioned he doesn't have a watch. I can go with it. He's a millionaire, so let's let him have his cake and eat it too a little bit within reason.
I got my first tattoo once I got to college. It was a verse on my chest. It was a tattoo artist in Kentucky. For me, it's a personal chef. All the best advice young guys to get a chef, just to eat right. You have to keep your body in tip-top shape, and eating right is one of the biggest things you need. He cooks lunch and dinner. Usually for breakfast, I'm always at the facility eating, so I didn't want him to cook breakfast. His name is TK, and one of my family friends from Dallas actually knows him, so it was just a great fit for us. I mean, his food's good. He's a good guy to be around, funny, and he can keep up with my family as well. The best meal that he cooks, I like his spaghetti and meatballs. The best I've ever had. I don't even like spaghetti and meatballs, so once he made them and I ate it, I was like, it's pretty good. So for the year.
So I personally like this because this is investing into himself. It's the whole concept. Sorry, I got to make sure my computer is charged before I continue to talk. But I like this because it's an investment in itself. So the return on investment is that his performance, his health will ultimately improve, and that will help him on the field or court, and hopefully, theoretically, will help him, stay on the court longer, perform better, which will help him get more contracts and stuff like that. So this is an investment in yourself. I want to say it's wasting money. I like to cook, but the time it takes to cook, the time it takes to go to the groceries, all that stuff can be out the way based on, if you just pay for it with the chef. But we still haven't seen how much it costs for him. Let's see.
For my personal chef, I paid $40,000.
So 40,000 on the year for a chef. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm just thinking of all right, time spent versus groceries. I like to meal prep. I definitely think he could probably partner with some meal prep services, but to each his own. 40,000 is not a lot. I really think it's interesting that he spent for 2 apartments and a chef is still less than one of the cars that he spent for. So that's really intriguing.
I actually have a whole little gaming center in one of my rooms. I just bought it a couple weeks ago. I got a gaming chair, a gaming table, and then a monitor. Favorite games to play right now, definitely Call of Duty and 2K.
Have you been playing a lot in quarantine?
There's nothing else to do, so whenever I'm waking up, I'm going straight to the video game. Video game setup, $500. So far, I've spent $622,300. The rest of my first million went to saving and investments. I didn't know I spent that much.
So to be fair, his contract over the 4 years is 17 million. We didn't include taxes. We didn't include, different expenses outside of the things that he talked about, like utilities and different things like that. But from the standpoint of the fact that this is only coming from his spending budget, which is 20% of the allocated money that he uses, to be fair, it is not that bad. But to be honest, he could put it into more investments and, hopefully, live a life well spent, from a generational wealth standpoint. I'm sure he spends a lot of other things that we're not getting into, he talks about his family being close, his brother, his sister. I'm sure he, compensates for them as well, which is, hats off to him. He's able to do that. He's able to take care of his family. But this is how he spent his first million. Definitely think he could have done better, but I'm not here to judge. I think it's I think he's off to a great start. Definitely things that we can apply in our own personal situations. But yeah, that's it on my end. Let's see if there's anything in the closing.
But I mean, I don't have any regrets. I feel like all my purchases were good purchases, so I'm pretty good with what I got. My advice for the next draftees, just to make sure you save as much as possible. Get what you want, but at the end of the day, just make sure you're saving. I'm an athlete.
I like that. Get what you want, but make sure you're saving. And he saves up to 80% for savings and investments. So I think he will be on the right track moving forward. With that 20%, you do have to be happy. You do have to enjoy. You do have to reward yourself. But I do think it's interesting some of the things that he spends on. He likes money. I'm sorry. Obviously, everyone likes money, but he likes cars. So he spent a large portion of his first million on cars. Whereas if it was somebody else, it might be different. It might be real estate. It might be video games. It might be vacation, travel. It's important to understand what works for you, what you like, and then kind of go from there.
So obviously I have a job that's hard on my body, and I have to make sure that I'm set up for the future. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, so that's it for the PJ Washington review. Make sure if you guys want to check out more, subscribe and leave a comment. We're going to break some more down, so make sure you guys follow. Thank you guys once again. Catch you guys soon.